Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I'm Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, we're going to head out to the state of Minnesota to talk about some legislative efforts out there to try to disarm its citizens. But there's a very important lesson for all of you, no matter what state you're in, to learn about how to ensure the integrity and preservation of the gun laws that actually do protect your rights. So let's head out to Minnesota. Let's talk about a governor who's desperate to kind of stay in the public attention and what some of his colleagues have come up with. So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about, so this is how Minnesota plans on banning assault weapons. Okay, America, we're going to head out to the state of Minnesota, but all of you need to pay attention to this because there is a legislative scheme in place that is actually going to ultimately save thousands and thousands of Minnesota residents from this unconstitutional and unlawful civilian disarmament ordinances that we're going to talk about. But the elimination of that law, and away we go. We got this problem in Minnesota. We'd have this problem in your state as well if you get rid of what? That's right, your state preemption law. What we're talking about is Governor Tim Walz and his strong desire to still somewhat remain relevant in the national spotlight, and therefore he has a strong desire to call a special legislative session in order to pass sweeping civilian disarmament legislation. Amongst that is some of the usual suspects, such as an assault weapon ban, or what we call a semi-automatic rifle ban, and a large capacity magazine ban, or what we call banning anything that holds more than 10 rounds. The problem for Governor Walz is that he does not have the votes in either chamber of his state legislature to not only get a special session rolling, but to even pass any of this legislation. What is a person to do who's still hell-bent on civilian disarmament? We'll enter Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey and St. Paul Mayor Melvin Carter, who had a joint press conference on Thursday, October 16th, in which they announced, hey, to hell with the state legislature, here's what we're going to do. We're going to pass our own municipal ordinances. And I want you to understand, it's not just Minneapolis and St. Paul that's talking about passing its own ordinances. No, there's a list of other municipalities whose mayors have also hopped aboard this bandwagon, and they include Bloomington, Brooklyn Center, Columbia Heights, Eden Prairie, Golden Valley, Hopkins, Minnetonka, Mounds View, Richfield, Rochester, Shoreview, St. Louis Park, Stillwater, and West St. Paul. Every one of those mayors has also said that they intend on offering city ordinances and attempting to pass city ordinances which will do the following. It would ban public possession of semi-automatic rifles, or what they like to call assault weapons. It would ban the public possession of large capacity magazines, or what we call any magazine that holds more than 10 rounds. It would ban possession of binary triggers, and it would create a whole new list of sensitive places. So essentially, you have a bunch of mayors deciding, well, the state legislature is not going to do anything about it, so we're going to have to take matters into our own hands. St. Paul Mayor Melvin Carter was quoted as saying, "So what I think we're here today to say is that we are tired of excuses for inaction. We're tired of covering up for it, for simple things that actually the vast majority of people who live outside this building all agree on. And we have to be willing to take action. And what we're saying is, as mayors, we're not going to sit anymore and hope that somebody else takes action. We're going to do something." Oh, and the municipalities are all proposing new signage amongst their municipalities where they would encourage compliance. Why is it that they would encourage compliance? Well, you see, Minnesota and anyone else who has one of these laws, known as state preemption laws, should any of these municipalities pass ordinances which restricts the possession of firearms, the carrying of firearms, or anything else related to firearms, see, they're not going to be worth the paper they're printed on. And that's because Minnesota, like Washington State, like most states, but not all, has a state preemption law, which basically states that the state legislature is the one that gets to set the firearm rules. Specifically, Minnesota statute lies in section 471.633, which specifically reads as follows. The legislature preempts all authority of home rule charter or statutory city, including the city of first class, county, town, municipal corporation, or other governmental subdivision, or any of their instrumentalities to regulate firearms, ammunition, or their respective components to the complete exclusion of any order ordinance or regulation by them except A, a government subdivision may regulate the discharge of firearms, and B, a governmental subdivision may adopt regulations identical to state law. Local regulation inconsistent with this section is void. Put simply, state law will always, always, always trump any municipal or local ordinance. So, Minneapolis, St. Paul, any of the other municipalities thinking about doing this, you can waste your time, you can waste your energy, you can waste your efforts, but ultimately, these ordinances will not be worth the paper that they are printed on. So, America, I want you to understand, especially for somebody like me who lives behind enemy lines, if you would, one of the biggest tools that those that are promoting civilian disarmament will try to do at your state legislative level is either completely abolish or significantly weaken your state preemption laws. And although you may not like what your state does with your gun laws, can you imagine what would happen if you're able to turn gun laws over to more local municipalities, counties, towns, boroughs, and things such as that? And the other big problem, America, that you need to be aware of is that if you allow your state preemption law to be taken from you, your state will turn into a tapestry of various different gun laws, where if you have the audacity to travel across state, depending on what you're carrying and how you're carrying it, you may actually go from legal to illegal to legal to illegal and several more times on that trip. And that is why your state preemption law is of paramount importance, and why Minnesota's state preemption law is ultimately going to protect the rights of the citizens in all of these municipalities. Okay, listen, we'll go ahead and link up the stories that we relied upon in making this video down below so you guys can geek out on them for yourself. If you got any questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, you guys should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now, but if you don't, that's okay. That information is down there in the description box. If you got an idea for a video we should be doing around here, you click on that link right there and you tell us all about it. If you want to subscribe to our monthly newsletter, that information is down there in the description box. And then finally, and most importantly, let's everyone remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.